We come to you from the cool Pacific Northwest, where the Beavers are sharpening their teeth to feast on Big Baby Glenn Davis. Oregon State welcomes the Tigers from LSU. It's a chilly evening in Corvallis, Oregon, where we come to you from Gill Coliseum for tonight's SEC Pac-10 battle between the LSU Tigers and the Oregon State Beavers. Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Physiak. This is Marcus Johnson. LSU comes in as the number 12 team in the nation, and they come in with one of the best players in America, Big Baby Glenn Davis. This guy was the SEC Player of the Year last season, and he's even better this year.
Well, he's loquacious and vivacious and gregarious, and last year he was fat. Steve, he was fat, but he had about a great run. They beat Texas, they beat Duke, they get to the Final Four, and he huffed and puffed his way against UCLA to get blown out. What did he do? He dropped close to 50 pounds since last spring, and he was already quick and nimble. This makes him even more of a touch matchup inside. He's a terrific passer, nice medium-range jump shot, but as you can imagine, he creates space inside. Now, the guys that will have to deal with him, the front line of the Oregon State Beavers, Marcel Jones doing a great job scoring the basketball, and Sasa Chuich will start out guarding Glenn Davis, but he's got to make Glenn Davis play some defense. This ain't football, Steve. You don't get to come out after offense. You got to play defense, too. Sasa Chuich has got to keep him honest.
And LSU has the offense. They've been outscoring the opposition by an average of 22 points per game. It's Big Baby and the Tigers against Marcel Jones and Oregon State next. Pac-10 College Hoops on FSN is brought to you by Pontiac, official performance machines for the NCAA and the Pac-10. See the all-new Pontiac showroom at your Pontiac dealer today. This is the 58th year for Gill Coliseum, getting ready to host the number 12 LSU Tigers and Oregon State. The Tigers come in at 6-2 and a little banged up. Big front line averaging 6'9", but Magnum Roll gets the start over Darnell Lazar. And Tack Minor is the point guard with Damian Mason suffering some migraines this week. Mitchell and Temple are terrific players. And there's Coach John Brady, 10th year in Baton Rouge. He averaged 20 wins in his last 7 years and took LSU to the Final Four last year. Oregon State has a record of 6-4, and they've got good size. They'll need a big game from both Jones and Sasa Chuich, who's averaging 12 points per game. The point guard is a freshman, Josh Tarver. He is a big-time recruit, Kyle Jeffers. They'll need his defense in the middle against Big Baby. And Jay John, he is a disciple of Lute Olson. This is his biggest non-conference game of his career. We are ready to tip it off. LSU in the purple and Oregon State in the orange.
Well, first thing you notice about Big Baby is that people are saying that he's more like 6'7" as opposed to his listed 6'9". I stood next to him. He's close to 6'9".
He is a big man.
About 6 feet 7 inches wide.
And there's a nice steal by Jeffers. We talked about his defense. He's the senior from Santa Rosa, who his theme has always been defense and rebounding.
Yeah, just a terrific shot blocker inside. But now here's where Oregon State has got to do a good job executing, being patient, working the ball around for a good shot.
Marcel Jones for three. This is the most improved player on the Oregon State roster.
Over the last couple of years, averaged about 3 points a game as a freshman, about 8 or 9 as a sophomore. This year, he's up to 17 points a game, and he's extended his range on the jump shot.
Tasman Mitchell, he had a big game against Texas, and this guy is one of their leaders.
Yeah, talking about extending your range, Tasman Mitchell shooting about 54% from the three-point line. I know it's early in the season, but that's a terrific shot for Tasman Mitchell. You cannot allow him to have that good look at the basket.
And if LSU can hit their threes, they're going to make it really difficult on the Beavers.
Yeah, you're going to extend the defense. You're going to force Oregon State to go pretty much man up one-on-one against Big Baby inside, and that's a tough matchup for anybody.
Here's the slashing Wesley Washington. He gets bumped and fouled, and he'll be at the free throw line.
And our key to the game, Pontiac keys to the game. LSU turn this thing into just a physical rugby scrum, and then they've got to hit the open shot, as we saw Tasman Mitchell do for Oregon State. Interior defense, which ends with rebounding the basketball, and look for a lot of pick and pops, especially from Satchituich.
Well, the foul was against Garrett Temple, who is their very important point guard. He's moving to the 2 because Tack Miner is the starting point guard. He picks up his first, sending Wesley Washington to the line, and Wesley makes 1 of 2.
Well, Damian Mason is usually the starting 2 guard, but he's been out 3 days of practice this week with migraine headaches, and so John Brady, I love John Brady. He is one of the funnier guys in all of college basketball. But hey, you're not good enough to practice. You're not well enough to practice. I'm certainly not going to start you.
Darnell Lazar also has a sprained left ankle. Did not play the first 2 games of the week. Did go on Friday and Saturday. Missed a couple of practices earlier, though. Jones spinning inside, and he may have traveled. Yes, he did. Our officials tonight from the Pac-10, Michael Reed, Bobby McCroy, and Mike Littlewood.
Good crew, good crew. But now there you see Marcel Jones, where he's had issues this early part of the season, is forcing shots up. There was no shot there. He tried to create something out of nothing. And then the other thing, Jay John doesn't really like to play zone defense, but when you've got an imposing figure the size of Glenn Davis inside, and the way Texas had a lot of success with their zone, Oregon State starts out in a 1-3-1 zone defense, a little bit like Arizona.
And John Brady really broke down tape of Oregon State, and he said they don't play much zone. He said like 3 possessions all year.
3 possessions all year. That was more like a 3-2 with the 2 big guys kind of holding down things inside. Then you got 3 guys on the outside protecting the perimeter. But they worked a lot in shoot-around. Oregon State did on picks and pops, letting the big guy Satchituich come from one side of the court to the other instead of ball screen, and then just popping to the corner trying to get some open looks.
Chuich has not taken a shot yet. We're 2.5 minutes into the game. Shot clock's down to 5, Marcus. Washington misses on the runner, and here comes Miner the other way.
That's really the problem with Oregon State. They don't really have a lot of guys who can create their own shots.
Well, Mitchell's hit the 3, and now Garrett Temple's hit the 3, and LSU has a 2-point lead at 6-4.
One of our Pontiac keys to the game, hit the open shots. Turn into Jimmy Chitwoods out here of Hoosiers fame and just knock down those open looks. And so far, Tasman Mitchell, Garrett Temple has done just that.
Okay, let's set up the picket fence.
And then for LSU, Tack Miner, I mean, if you can get him to do this the majority of the time he's on the floor, pass the basketball. He hates to pass the salted breakfast, Steve. He just, he's a scorer. He came out of high school in Houston. He had a 72-point game against Daniel Gibson's high school team. And he's just got that scorer's mentality. But if he can settle down, play under control, distribute the basketball, he'll see a lot more time on the floor.
72 in one game to go with what, 22 rebounds?
22 rebounds, 10 block shots, 8 steals. He told me it was like a quadruple double.
And Glenn Davis picks up his personal foul. Jane John would love to see him get into early foul trouble. Davis with 1, and Temple has 1 foul.
Well, Jay John was funny. We were talking about who was going to match up against Glenn Davis. And he said since Satchituich kind of doesn't have that much of a heart for playing the defense, he was going to start him out on Glenn Davis. And Sasha's issue is that he tries to stay out of foul trouble. So now he's got to work, move his feet, keep good position, and not allow himself to get caught in a bad way to pick up those early fouls.
Miner went for the steal. Here's Tarver. He's a talented redshirt freshman from Portland, Oregon. Misses his first shot. Miner tries to spin in and turns it over, but gets it back. And now turns it back over to Josh Tarver. Wesley Washington misses. Oregon State has got to be able to put those shots away. Stepping on the end line was LSU, so the Beavers will still have it, but they have to be able to make their layups.
Well, again, talking about their personnel, you don't really have those types of players who can just break you down on the offensive end. Here, Tack Miner gets the ball back, but watch Tarver come in from behind. Does a nice job landing off to Wesley Washington. And he's got enough vert in his leaping ability to throw that down. I mean, you got to finish that play.
Sel Jones' second 3 earlier in this contest, and Oregon State has a 1-point lead.
I mean, you look at his shooting percentage from long range. He was 11 for 36, about 31% coming into the game. But he's shooting it with a lot of confidence. Once again, Oregon State, some 2-3 zone now. They got all 2-3, but Marcel Jones will be the guy that will go from wing to wing to prevent the open look from Tasman Mitchell and Garrett Temple.
Tasman Mitchell gets it out to Miner. Miner fires a 3. Good seal off by Chuich, and he gets the rebound quickly to Tarver.
like the fact Tarver comes down. I mean, Marcel Jones was looking for the lob. Tarver watching all the way, dribbling with his head up at the point guard.
Turnover for Oregon State. Jay John thought his guard got bumped. Instead, Tarver turns it over. Oregon State, though, has a 1-point lead over number 12 LSU. LSU has fine basketball tradition. National champs in 1934. They've been to 4 Final Fours, including last year. But remember, the individual talent they have had. Pete Maravich, 1966 to 1970, still holds the NCAA record, averaging 44 points per game. And then, of course, big Shaquille O'Neal still holds the block record with 12 in one game.
Jack Diesel, he was another physical specimen like Glenn Davis, over 300 pounds, but able to get up and down the floor. Block shots, break dance, do all, anything you ask of him.
Well, you see the numbers, almost averaging a double-double, 20 points and almost 10 rebounds per game. But LSU, no 2-point field goal attempts, and you talked early about one of the keys, interior defense by Oregon State. Pretty good, first 3 minutes.
And that's the reason why, as Oregon State goes into some extended three-quarter court pressure, not trying to steal the basketball, but against Nicholls State, Tasman Mitchell, Darnell Lazard, Garrett Temple all had 3 or more field goal attempts early in the game. Glenn Davis didn't touch the basketball. They've got to find a way to get him some touches here, even if that means bringing him up to the high post.
Well, he's got 3 orange jerseys around him every time he touches the basketball, and catching the ball on the pass from Davis. And out of bounds is Garrett Temple. He came down. His shoe was on the sideline, so John Brady's Tigers turn it over.
And just a tremendous sign of respect from Jay John, who is not a zone coach. He's played 3 possessions of zone all season long. This game, they have not shown man-to-man defense. It's been all 2-3 zone.
Washington trying to go low to Kyle Jeffers. He has 1 man defending him, so he'll post him up, and he has it blocked. There's that great defense by Magnum Roll, who's so long at 6'10", 205.
Yeah, he got the long arms. He's quick off his feet. Great timing on blocks inside. Not quite the defensive stopper inside that Tyrus Thomas was last year, who's now playing with the Chicago Bulls.
Davis gets the ball back. LSU does not have a true point guard. Here's Roll, and a blocking foul will be called against the Beavers. Goes against Wesley Washington, his first personal.
Yeah, I thought Wesley Washington was just a little late. You got to give the man a chance to come down with the basketball. And Wesley Washington did not get there early enough. Good call by the officials. But if Magnum Roll can give them some offense, it just really helps this already terrific basketball team even become that much better. And he's got some decent moves inside, some pretty decent back to the basket stuff, but he's only been playing the game a little over 3 years, and it kind of shows. He's a raw work in progress.
Doesn't he sound like the star of a CIA adventure, Magnum Roll?
His mother must have watched a lot of Magnum P.I. and Tom Selleck over at Freeport in the Bahamas.
Well, he's the guy they have compared favorably to Tyrus Thomas, who's now in the NBA with the Chicago Bulls. Came out early. They are missing 2 fine players in Tyrus Thomas and also their point guard, Daryl Mitchell.
Yeah, Mitchell was the big shot maker for him last year, but finally Oregon State gets Sasha Chuich involved in some offense, and that's not what you want to do if you're Chuich against Glenn Davis. Take him to the basket, try and pick up that second foul.
Temple missing the 3. Good rebound by Marcel Jones, quickly into the hands of Josh Tarver. Tarver, no. Good rebound by Jeffers. He'll pump it out to Washington, who takes it in and can't score. Wesley's had a tough time. He has missed 2 layups early in this game.
And that one a little bit more difficult, but still, you got to finish off that play. I mean, Glenn Davis went up for the block. At the very least, try and draw some contact again. Be aware of the fact that Glenn Davis has 1 foul here early. Another foul probably puts him on the bench.
Nice move by Minor, but he can't finish the layup. Gets his own rebound, takes it back to the hoop, and is knocked down and travels. Now that's a time where he could have kicked it out because he had an extra 35 on that shot clock.
Well, and that's the issue with Tack Minor. Once again, he gets it in his mind to score the basketball. Here's a guy again scored 72 points in high school, and right here, you know, you're going against 3 defenders inside, and I'm sure John Brady will let him know about that.
Minor stays in the floor, and here is Jack McGillis, they really like this young man out of Missoula, Montana. He is off on the wing, a good three-shooter, really worked hard in the offseason when he went home to Montana, worked not only in his game, but in the weight room. He's a lot bigger and stronger.
Bad pass inside by Chewich, trying to hit Marcel Jones, but Jack McGillis didn't really put on a lot of weight. He only said he only gained 8 pounds, but he cut his body fat down from 15% to 7%, which is phenomenal in one off season's work. Here's Glenn Davis, we talked about, coming out high, touching the basketball, kind of moving him around on the floor. If you're John Brady and LSU, making him difficult to locate if that's possible for somebody who's 295 pounds.
LSU has not scored a field goal the last 5 minutes. Davis loses it off his hands and out of bounds. Oregon State will have it. OSU easily could be up by almost a 10-point lead. LSU has not played well, and Oregon State has really defended well early.
Yeah, you think about the 3 pretty much chippies missed inside, 2 of those by Wesley Washington, and Oregon State has got to take advantage of those if they want to have a chance to win this game, because you know LSU, they're one of the top teams in the country. They're going to get it together, find their rhythm offensively, and start scoring the basketball.
I think Chewich thinks he's Dirk Nowitzki.
He's not. Not even close.
Davis, man, he is huge, and he pulls down that rebound. That's his hero, Dirk Nowitzki. Another block by Chewich, and another. He's defending, though.
Like his hero is Bill Walton by the looks of that defensive sequence of Sasa Chewich. Now, offensively, he's got to take shots going to the basket.
Both teams impressive defensively early. Here's Marshall Jones missing the 3, made his first 2. Minor grabs the rebound.
And not a terrible shot on the part of Marcel Jones, but I think you need to work the ball around and look to see if you can get something just a little bit better.
That's 5 turnovers by LSU. When we come back, we'll go all in the family, the Tarver family of Oregon State. Freshman Josh Tarver, part of the All in the Family Tarver clan. So talented athletically. I mean, their pop, John Tarver, played in the NFL for the Eagles and the Patriots, but how about the kids?
Kids are pretty good, too. Sean Tarver, an outstanding guard at UCLA in the early 90s. Seth's game reminds me of him. Taryn Tarver, sprinter at Oregon, 1999. She's fast. Zach Tarver, outstanding wide receiver, still here at Oregon State. Another brother on the bench. I mean, this is a remarkable family in terms of their athletic achievements.
And there is Seth. They really think he might be the finest athlete. He is a true freshman from Portland Jesuit High School. They won the state title when they were together, when Josh was a senior and Seth was a junior. Right now he's coming off the bench, but did start the first 3 games this year. So Josh, the redshirt freshman, starting at point. Now in the game for LSU, a young man from Florence, Oregon, Ben Voog, who's now a sophomore. About an hour and a half drive from Corvallis at Florence.
And he's another guy, or a guy for LSU that can extend your defense, and that's what John Brady's looking at, that 2-3 zone of Oregon State, looking for some answers.
Chewich still can't answer. Rebound taken down by LSU, and Oregon State's now 2 for 13 in the first half, yet they still lead by 1 because LSU has been turning it over 5 times, and the Tigers are just 2 for 11 from the floor.
And after the Texas game, John Brady, he knew he was going to see a lot more zone. Hadn't saw a lot of zone up until that game, but Texas had so much success after they went to that zone with about 16 minutes to go in the first half. Just shut down Glenn Davis. I think he had 1 field goal during that stretch of the Texas game. And so they're going to see a lot of that. Teams are going to say, hey, Garrett Temple, Voog, Darnell Lazar, Tasman Mitchell, you have to beat us from the outside.
LSU might be guilty of they let school get in the way of their education because they had finals this week.
Some of those finals ended with like 7 o'clock at night. So.
Jack McGillis, nice drive, knocked away though, and all of a sudden they are 2 for their last 14. Their last field goal was at the 16:08 mark. We're nearing the 10-minute mark. LSU's gone farther. The last time they hit a field goal was 17-12 mark.
Going to get Chewich, I believe, on the bump of Glenn Davis as he goes to the paint. Now, this is one of the favorite plays that LSU likes to run against man-to-man, as Oregon State has switched back to man-to-man defense, and they actually foul on McGillis, but setting a little back screen for Glenn Davis and allowing him to get a running start at 295 pounds to establish low post position, and it's almost impossible to defend.
Jay John will now bring in size, going with Calvin Hampton, a 6'10", 250-pound redshirt freshman from Fort Washington, Maryland. And Davis turns it over. Man, this is really unusual. This was, maybe it's looking a little like the Texas game because they had 9 turnovers in the first half against Texas, only 2 in the second half and overtime, but Brady is hot.
And that's one thing about Glenn Davis. I mean, when he's faced with this kind of defensive attention, which he has seen a lot of during his career, but at times he can get frustrated and try and do just a little too much, like on that last possession.
Here's Hampton, put it to the floor one too many times, and finally gets it to Chewich. And stolen by Boone. Kicked out of bounds, though, by LSU, but they saved it. Mitchell barely saved it to Boone.
Once again, man-to-man Oregon State switch it back and forth, almost possession to possession.
Davis. Wow. Brady really feels he's better about 15, 16 feet than posting him up. Why?
Well, he's giving him the green light to shoot those shots because he doesn't want the defense to get so accustomed to locating Glenn Davis each and every time down the floor offensively, change up his position. As I said, he's a very good passer when he's facing the basket.
Chewich might be forcing it. Davis' defense is good. Carver picks him up, though, with the first field goal in more than 7 minutes.
Yeah, I don't like Sasha Chewich's energy offensively. He shot a couple of fadeaways early. Kind of some bailout long jumpers these last couple of possessions. But this is the guy, Tasman Mitchell, that looked to really try and get off.
Oh, that's a good move by Davis.
That's against 2 defenders. One guy's 6'10", 255 pounds. The other guy's 6'10", about 250. Hampton and Chewich inside, and it gives you an idea of the strength of Glenn Davis at 295 pounds. Anytime you can make a guy 250 pounds look small, you're big.
Sasha Chewich with the bucket, and Oregon State has a 1-point lead at 11-10. First field goal by Chewich as we have Oregon State hosting the number 12 team in the nation, the LSU Tigers. Davis with a fine feed to Lazar, and Lazar is fouled. He'll be at the free throw line.
Yeah, that's some of that face-the-basket passing ability. Now here's some of that long-range jump shot shooting ability, even though he's just 1 for 7 from the three-point line coming into this game. But this is his office space right in here. This is where he gets all his work done. Nice job spinning off a contact, and he's got such a tremendously soft touch inside under duress.
There was a second personal foul on Wesley Washington, so Jay John will have to get him off the floor. He also takes out Sasha Chewich, but he's going to leave Washington on. McGillis is coming out. He has 1 foul. And Washington will stay on the floor, still with 8 minutes remaining and 2 fouls. So are they taking a chance? Coming into the game, Marcel Jones and Kyle Jeffers. Here's Davis, left hand no, and a whistle and a personal foul. Let's see who it's against.
It's a late whistle, and Jay John not liking the call, but you understand it's about him not making the basket.
It's against Jones, and we'll be right back with a tie game. Number 12 LSU tied with Oregon State 11-11, and this Wednesday we've got a great Pac-10 doubleheader coming your way. We've got the Arizona Wildcats, and they will be hosting Memphis. John Calipari will go to the desert to face Lute Olson's Wildcats, and that will be followed by LSU moving up further north to take on a very talented Washington Husky team who has only 1 loss this year. They're 8-1, but could their style favor LSU?
Well, I think the youth of the Huskies will be the primary concern, but LSU loves to go up and down, as does Lorenzo Romar and the Washington Huskies, but it'll get a people a chance to see an outstanding freshman in the Pac-10. The Pac-10 has so many great freshman players this year, but Spencer Haas and Quincy Pondexter has been the surprise for me for the Washington Huskies.
And then you and I will have a chance to see Chase Budinger. He's pretty good for the Arizona Wildcats. I'm looking forward to seeing Quincy Pondexter too.
Yeah,
what a freshman he is.
Yeah, he's actually the leading scorer for the Washington Huskies the first 2 games of the season.
Davis makes both foul shots.
Now LSU going to pick up the pressure, some full court, man-to-man, trapping aggressively with Darnell Lazar, one of the smarter, brighter players in terms of basketball IQ on this LSU team.
They get it over to Hampton, now to Jones, and he picks up his dribble. Still 22 left in the shot clock. Oregon State lucky to be in this game, shooting only 23%.
You mentioned the turnovers by LSU.
7 already. Jones backing his way, and that's a nice hook. Misses the shot, and it is tipped to LSU. They've got numbers 3 on 1, and I believe a travel. And it looks like Wesley Washington is down for Oregon State. This is not a deep Beaver team, and Washington, a very athletic guard who's been terrific defensively early in this game.
So Jones got a pretty good look on the jump hook at the basketball. Calvin Hampton active on the offensive glass, and you see Jones and Washington go down. Even though I didn't see what happened to Wesley Washington, he is still down.
Looked like it's his upper body, like his shoulder. When he got knocked down, I was looking towards his ankles to see if he turned an ankle, but no. It's either his head or his shoulder. So Jay John will have to go to his bench. And he's just delighted that Washington walking off under his own power. So McGillis will come back in. Interesting, Seth Tarver has been averaging 19 minutes per game, who's their top recruit, and he has not seen floor time yet in this first half.
Yeah, Jay John's elected to go with Jack McGillis over Seth Tarver, who's a very athletic 6'5" wing player.
Chewich, now they've got numbers 3 on 1. They throw it away. Bad pass by Chewich.
Do it behind Marcel Jones, but another case where you've got to convert. If you're Oregon State, it's going to come back and bite you later in the game. All these missed easy opportunities inside.
Allowing Oregon State to stay in the game, and Oregon State in their half-court defense has been marvelous.
So far.
But
Glenn Davis is starting to pick up his level of activity, starting to get more touches on the offensive end.
And Chewich now 1 of 6 from the floor. Campbell swings it out top to Mitchell. Oregon State back in the man defense. Boy, he has some good moves.
Wow. And then kind of looks up and smirks at the Oregon State Beaver crowd, but that's a great job. Back to the basket, little jab step to freeze the defender. Pivot move, turnaround jump shot. I mean, again, he was already quick and nimble at 330, 40-plus pounds, and now he's down to 295.
The steal by Garrett Temple, their best defender. He brings it up the floor, gets it to Lazar. Lazar punches it inside to Mitchell. Good ball movement that time by the Tigers.
Garrett Temple being under control, and it's a bad idea by Marcel Jones to try and pick up the offensive foul.
And LSU on a 7-0 run, and this is the guy who started it.
Yeah, a little jab, back to the basket, going middle, fade away from the bucket, knock down the shot, and that's a different shot than Sassachusetts because he's under control. And then Darnell Lazar actually with the pass inside off the feed from Garrett Temple, and once again Marcel Jones trying to flop, and I'm glad the official didn't call that.
So John trying to end this 7-0 run that LSU has been on to open up a 6-point lead. But you look at Davis and his game. He is, you had a comment about him in the open about how loquacious is. He was having fun with the students here at Oregon State, and they were saying, hey, would you come over and sign some autographs? He knew the coaches didn't want him to, and he goes, no, I'm shy.
Yeah, right. I had a chance to talk to him briefly before the game and asked him anybody he patterned his game after, and he's like, no, I've always been a leader. people pattern their games after me. I don't pattern my game after anybody. But he did mention Shaq and Kevin Garnett and a slimmed down Elton Brand as guys that he did admire.
Well, Elton Brand, a great role model, went to Duke.
LSU once again, some zone pressure on this possession, and they're playing it aggressively. I mean, they're gambling, going for steals, trying to get the basketball, trying to rattle the Beavers.
Jack McGillis, that's a nice shot. He got his defender in the air and then backed away and dropped it home. Damian Mason, who missed 2 practices this week because of migraines, on the floor now and with a muscular drive to the hoop and gets fouled by McGillis.
And that's Mason's
his second.
And he's a slasher. Did a nice job coming in from the right wing, but McGillis, he showed in that last shot, Steve, you put a lot of work in, not only on his body, but on creating his shot, shooting the ball off the dribble. He was thought up to be too much of a standstill jump shooter. He wanted to change that perception, and it's looking good early on.
Mason, the transfer from Marquette. Temple has manned the point much of this first half after Minor started the game as the point guard, but he's now in the tack room.
A little out of control. But Garrett Temple is very comfortable. He's been a point guard all his life. He played AAU ball with Glenn Davis and Tyrus Thomas and Tasman Mitchell. And so you got all those scorers on the floor. His dad, Collis Jr., was the coach of that team. So they didn't like it at first, but when they started winning, they'd go like 65 games of AAU ball and win 60 of them during the summertime. So he started growing into the position.
We have a whistle away from the basketball. Mike Littlewood, the official, making the call, and the personal goes against Damian Mason, his first personal.
So this is where missing those easy opportunities early in the game starts to catch up with you. Now Oregon State a little bit out of sync offensively, coupled with the fact that LSU has extended their pressure. They picked up the intensity in their half-court defense. It's not going to be the same types of easy shots where Oregon State has an opportunity to convert early in the game.
Tarver for 3.
Nice job. Garrett Temple elected to go underneath the screen, testing the outside shooting of Josh Tarver. Josh Tarver's like, hey, test this. You want a final exam.
Davis working against Jewish. They swing it to the right end. Mason gets it into Davis, and he scores.
Nice. Great job of moving the basketball. Darnell Lazard just kind of setting up in the short corner on the right side. Glenn Davis dived to the basket, and you know, most guys would not have been able to finish off that shot with the contact from Marcel Jones. But again, we're talking the strongest man in college basketball today, Glenn Davis.
And Davis has made every single one of his shots. 4 of 4 from the floor, now 10 points. John Brady said he'd like to see him get, at the minimum, 12 to 14 shots a game. Well, that's over the top. And they'll turn it back over to LSU. Jay John thought it was last touch by a Tiger.
With that short corner, move the ball around zone offense by LSU. Glenn Davis, and watch the contact. There's some contact inside, not as much as I thought initially from that angle. But still, I mean, you got to come at Glenn Davis a lot tougher than that if you want to stop him from getting to the basket.
Well, they'll move back to the zone.
Good idea.
Davis missing long. Jeffers knocks it to himself. Outlet pass goes to Josh Tarver, who's played every single minute of this first half. And as a matter of fact, Tarver playing a lot this year. Leads the team with 32 minutes per game. Jewich, the fade. Yes!
Keep taking it to him. I mean, he hasn't drawn the fouls that he would have liked. He fouled to Jewich. And that was another fadeaway jumper, but at least he made contact before the fade as opposed to just bailing out right away, which I don't like.
No kicking violation. Temple has it stripped by Jewich. He had a man long, McGillis, and a timeout is trying to be called by Kyle Jeffers, and they get it done. So Oregon State scrambling defensively, and they're making it a scrum.
John Brady wanting a kick ball call on that play, but you know, it has to be an intentional kick. That pass just off the foot of the Oregon State defender. But here's the contact here. Here's the contact here, a little spin-off contact, and then fade, and then the friendly bounce off the rim. But Oregon State in that zone defense doing a nice job. Inside here, Sasa Chuich, couple of blocks. Jack McGillis in the back also making himself a pest. And you see all the orange shirts in the paint. That's what Oregon State has got to continue to do. Give Glenn Big Baby Davis no room to operate inside and force him to become a perimeter jump shooter.
Well, Jay John thought this game would be a benchmark for his players. He said today at practice, we need toughness. He said the Beavers are 2 possessions away from an 8-2 record, but he said it was toughness or lack of that cost him those 2 games.
With a young team, a tendency to hang their heads when things are not going their way, and so far they have not done that in this game. He's got to be proud of their effort so far. Nice job.
Oh, yeah, but blocked beautifully as Washington can't finish that layup. Davis almost travels, powers it up, left hand, no. Another block, this time by Jeffers.
Baby back at you, Cal Jeffers showing what he does best. Plug up the paint, use that length to make it difficult to score inside.
Jones, no. Washington tries to tap it to himself. Davis from the back of his pants. Outlet pass, Temple. And here comes Tasman Mitchell, missing.
Now you don't want to get caught up in a run and gun affair with LSU. That's where the freshman Josh Tarver's has got to take command, slow it down, and execute your offense.
How about that, Kyle Jeffers? That's the first time I've seen him take that shot in 4 years.
Yeah, that's not exactly, I don't think the shot that Jay John drew up. It's Kyle Jeffers with a nice inside pivot, a little fade for separation, and found a way to get it to go to the basket.
Jack Sikma came down from Seattle.
Once again, Oregon State, 2-3 zone.
Mitchell, short, rebounding, Jones. Tarver pulls it back.
Good job by Marcel. He wanted to shoot that. He wanted to shoot it badly. He was just this close to forcing his shot.
LSU with the basketball. Tie game, 1:45 remaining in the first half. The Beavers have really played well. Remember, this is a team that lost by 44 points to Hawaii, by 28 to Nevada, and this has got to be their best energy of the year. Oh, what a beautiful wraparound by Garrett Temple.
Now, that's a great move on the baseline by Garrett Temple, and here's another guy with just a tremendous basketball IQ, a great basketball family.
Tasman Mitchell defending Marcel Jones. Jones averaging 17 points per game, but only has 6.
You know, you keep going inside the sides of Chuich. He's gotten a couple shots to fall for him.
Jones made his first 2 3-pointers. He's missed his last 2. Davis. For 3.
Got his confidence going again. 1 for 7 from that distance coming into this game. But after about the first 5 or 6 minutes when he didn't get many touches, now you see LSU giving the ball to their horse and riding him.
And he had only 1 3-pointer before that one. 1 for 7 this year. Boy, it looks like he is going to be a fine shooter. There's a block by Davis into the hands of LSU. Oregon State really has not done much inside.
This is where the improved conditioning with the weight loss has really paid dividends for Glenn Davis. He's been going up and down in this game, blocking shots, taking jumpers, had the legs to knock down the 3-point play, then the legs to come back and elevate for the block shot at the other end.
He has 13 points on 5 of 7 from the floor, 1 of 1 from 3-point range, and he's made both of his foul shots to go with 4 rebounds.
Let's say with about 11 minutes remaining in the half, he did not have a field goal attempt. Now he's starting to feel it, and he's the guy in terms of outside shooting. Confidence is a big part of it. Defensively, he's always been quick off his feet and has the ability with those long arms to block shots at a surprising rate for a guy his size.
But as you talked about, he said he's just healthier. He's eating better. He lost 45 to 50 pounds in 3 months. The lightest he's been, he said, since the 7th grade. But at the end of the year, it left a bad taste in his mouth because he said he ran out of gas playing the UCLA Bruins.
The first time in his career that he's asked to be taken out of the game was in that NCAA semifinal game against UCLA.
He was 5 for 17 from the floor in that loss to the Bruins in the Final Four. The Bruins then played for the national championship, losing to an SEC Florida team that was really good. Carver has it knocked out of bounds. We've got a timeout on the floor. 8.6 seconds remaining in the first half. Number 12 LSU takes on Oregon State, and they have a 5-point lead. And this Wednesday we've got a great doubleheader that includes LSU again in Seattle against the Washington Huskies. But prior to that, number 19 Memphis takes on number 10 Arizona. 8:30, 5:30 Pacific time. We got a chance to see the Wildcats for the first time this year. They're playing very well. As a matter of fact, the Pac-10 is 74-18 non-conference play. They had one game today, and USC won their contest. The Trojans are 8-2. They beat the College of Charleston.
Yeah, and USC, Tim Floyd doing a great job. Went down to Kansas, played them tough. Beat George Washington in the John Wooden Classic.
Well, it will be LSU basketball with 3.4 seconds left. The personal foul was called against Kyle Jeffers.
Oregon State, you need to watch for the, obviously Glenn Davis is the first option, but a guy like a Tasman Mitchell shooting a quick three-pointer.
There's the three. He misses the shot. And it will be LSU at the break leading by 5. And Big Baby's on his back, but he was front and center in the first half. 13 points to go with 5 rebounds. One of the top players in America, leading John Brady's Tigers to a 25-20 lead in Corvallis, Oregon. We'll come back with our halftime right after this. LSU leading 25-20 over Oregon State. Steve Fizziak along with Marcus Johnson. We had heard all about this All-American Glenn Davis enjoying his 48th consecutive double-figure game, 13 points in the first half.
Yeah, and you know, all those points occurred with about 10 minutes to go in that first half. He didn't touch the ball early in the game, but once he got into a flow, boy, was he flowing, and he's a confident shooter, so he knocks down that first jump shot. That gives him a lot of confidence to knock down another nice little jab step, middle little fadeaway, and then just overpowering, just housing, beasting inside against Saskatchewan. And for Oregon State, Marcel Jones. Now, you know, if you want to be considered a big-time player in this league, you've got to do it against big-time competition. He's 2 for 6, couple long jump shots so far, but he's got to find a way, Marcel Jones, to get himself more active and involved in this game offensively.
Yeah, Jones had 2 early buckets, 0 for 4 after that as he hit his first 2 3-point shots, but very quiet. And Oregon State only shooting 27% the first half. They're lucky to still be in this game.
Yeah, and missed a lot of easy shots. You see the field goal percentage you talked about, but the turnovers for LSU, they average 14 a game. They've got to cut down those, or Oregon State will be able to hang around.
The Beavers' interior defense really was strong in the first half, and that's why they're still in this ball game. Down 25-20. We'll come back with the second half after this. Pac-10 College Hoops on FSN is brought to you by U.S. Bank, proud to be the official bank of the Pac-10 and home of the 5-star service guarantee. Visit usbank.com. How many stars does your bank have? We come to you from Corvallis, Oregon, where at number 12 LSU is the highest-ranked non-conference team to play in Corvallis since number 5 Iowa in December 1983. Glenn Davis comes in, 13 points, 5 rebounds. Well, they've got him for 4 rebounds in the first half. And this is a guy, a man mountain. Meantime, Marcel Jones, 2 buckets early, then quiet after that. 6 and 4 in the first half. It's season low points at the half for both teams. LSU averaging 77 points per game, only 25 in the first half. And Oregon State about 65 per game, only 20 points.
And there's one of the all-time greats in Oregon State history, Steve Johnson, whose son Michael is a walk-on on this Oregon State basketball team. But man, Steve, talk about a load. You know, Big Baby is a load inside. Steve Johnson was also another load, about 6'11", 260 with just a tremendously soft touch around the basket.
Didn't he make about 65% of his shots?
Yeah, always, every year.
Inside, work it inside. Here's Chewich working against Big Baby. There's the fade.
There's the fade.
And he misses the shot. He's 2 for 8 now from the floor. And Oregon State only shooting 27% in the first half. Comes out and misses the first.
And they start out in man-to-man with Sasa Chuich now defending Glenn Davis. I thought they had a lot of success with that zone early. Let's see if Chuich will be up for the challenge.
Lazar will get the start in the second half. Here's Temple outside, draining the three, and LSU has their biggest lead of the night.
And see what happens. You start out in man-to-man. Glenn Davis goes down to the low box. Now all of a sudden, all the defenders sag back into the paint. Those looks will be there for Garrett Temple, and he does a nice job early in the second half knocking it down.
Personal foul will go against Tasman Mitchell. And for Tasman Mitchell, that is his first personal foul, so it'll be Oregon State basketball out on the side. Josh Tarver is the point guard, working with Wesley Washington, Kyle Jeffers, Chuich.
And you can see on this defensive possession, Tasman Mitchell is taking up the challenge to put the clappers on Marcel Jones. I mean, he really got up into his body. He bumped him. He played him physical, forced him into a turnover.
And so LSU will have the basketball, and this is Glenn Davis. He muscles his way. That is a charging foul on Glenn Davis, and that will be his second personal foul.
And nice job defensively as there was a switch up. We had Kyle Jeffers starting out as a primary defender. Sasa Chuich does a nice job giving up his body, picking up the offensive foul. For Chuich, when he catches the ball down low, he's got, and the one bucket he has, one with two buckets. One was taking it to the basket, one was shooting the fadeaway after he created some contact, initiated some contact.
It set a screen for Chuich, but battling his way through, it's Davis. Now Davis knocks that basketball to Tasman Mitchell, and LSU into the hands quickly to Tack Minor. Lazar inside, and all of a sudden it is a 10-point game, could be 11. Somehow the Beavers have to come up with something offensively, or this could be the time of the game they get blown out.
And here's Tack Minor, does a nice job surveying the court. Darnell Lazar just kind of sneaks behind the last line of defenders for Oregon State. And Darnell Lazar, I really like the way this team plays a lot better with him on the floor as opposed to Magnum Rowe, because he's not the leaper or shot blocker, but he just finds a way to get open. He converts inside, plays solid position defense, and Tack Minor that time showed nice restraint. I mean, Butch Pierre, their fine assistant coach for LSU, says he only knows one speed. That's all out.
0 to 60. Sometimes you got to back off and stay within the speed limit for your coach to leave you on the floor.
Take the pedal off the metal.
Josh Tarver coming up the floor. LSU with their biggest lead. They ended the first half on a 5-0 run. They start the second half on a 5-0 run. And again, Oregon State missing.
Those are eyesore shots, Steve. They hurt my eyes. They're just fading away, bailing out before any contact happens. I mean, come on. Sasa Chuich, you used to playing that European style. Well, I guess Europeans shoot a lot of jump shots.
Josh Tarver missing. Jeffers trying to tip it in. Davis fighting and winning the scramble is Seth Tarver. This is his first minutes on the floor, and he immediately comes up with a field goal. He did not play a minute in that first half.
We were talking about the fact he didn't play in that first half, but he's got the kind of ability, just kind of garbaging up inside. His decent athleticism to cause some problems. You need some offense on the floor for Oregon State.
He's had a foot problem. On the floor now.
Been plagued with that plantar fasciitis, and so you're not going to really see the true athleticism in this game.
Tack Minor missing the three. Marcel Jones rebounding. Quickly ahead to Seth Tarver, and the pass was too tall from his brother Josh.
And you know, that's that brother kind of ESP going on. But here's Seth Tarver right here, kind of picking up the loose ball. Quick little teardrop release inside.
They had a chance to get within 6. Back in the zone. They mainly got with a 2-3 when they've been zoning up.
2-3's done a nice job of limiting the touches of Glenn Davis. That's the reason for it. You want to make them beat you from the outside, and as long as they miss, like Tasman Mitchell on that possession, the zone is working.
And LSU has dominated opponents, out-rebounding them by 10 per game. But in this one, it was very close early. And LSU right now has a 6 rebound. Outside is Marcel Jones with his third three-pointer in the game. And again, it is a 5-point contest.
You got to do it against quality competition against Nevada. Marcel just 1 for 12 from the field. Yeah, he had 35 against talking about rebounding Oregon State. They are -4 rebounding this season, so it's not one of their strong suits, but they've done a nice job being overly aggressive in this game.
Seth Carver has it knocked away. Glenn Davis up the middle of the floor, and here comes Big Baby, laying it up and in. How about that? That's your postman.
That's your postman impersonating a point guard, and does a nice job with the pass fake to totally freeze Kyle Jeffers that opened up that lane to get to the basket for Glenn Davis.
Seth Carver. No, Davis rebound. He's getting close to a double-double. Now 15 points, he goes 7 rebounds. And on the other end of the floor, it is a very hard foul.
I think we're going to get an intentional foul on Sasha Chewett. It's going to be an intentional.
Well, here he is, Glenn Davis, the All-American candidate. Up and in, a 7-point Tiger lead. They have changed the decision on Sasha Chewett from a flagrant foul to a hard foul.
Upon further review, I mean, as long as you're making a play on the basketball, there's a lot of contact on the play, but you see the right arm going for the block, the left arm a little push and shove action on the inside. But I thought it was a good change up by the officials.
Right now, his defense has been more impressive than his offense. He's only 2 of 9 from the floor and has taken several questionable shots, but his defense has been pretty good. Having to cover that man much of the night, Glenn Davis, who has 15 points to go with his 7 rebounds. Well, they did not change the call because Temple's at the free throw line by himself. We were told that they had changed it to a hard foul call, so I beg your pardon.
An intensely hard foul. But, you know, these are SEC ball players, LSU. I mean, they're used to that kind of contact. I'm sure they've experienced a lot worse, you know, going against Florida and Kentucky and some of those other powerhouses in that conference.
Look at Oregon State shooting. Just terrible.
Oregon State stays, or goes back to that 2-3 zone, and they've done a nice job of mixing things up.
Right now, a 9-point LSU lead, and make it a dozen.
Garrett Temple.
And again, that's the guy you want to beat you. You want to force Garrett Temple, Tavin Mitchell, these guys to attack Minor, to take those outside shots and knock them down. But right now, they're starting to hit them, so don't be surprised to see Jay John get back out of that zone and return to the man-to-man defense.
Temple now has 13 points. Here's Chewett with the jump hook. It will not go. Davis with the rebound. His 8th of the ball game.
And that was a better idea by Chewett going to the basket as opposed to staying away, but still, there was no purpose, no strength, no aggressiveness behind that shot opportunity. I'm going to throw it up here and close my eyes because I don't want to get hit by Big Baby. And he does a great job posting up, and his teammate didn't even give him the basketball.
Marcel Jones with his 4th three-pointer, and that's a new career high. He's got 4 trades. He had a big game against Northern Colorado when he jumped in for 35 points.
He's improved that aspect of his game. 31% is not terrific numbers, but a major improvement from where he was.
Davis missing, rebounding LSU. Back up is Mitchell. Davis gets it back and runs the offense to Temple. Beavers stay in the zone. I told you, if LSU makes their 3-pointers, they'll run it away mid. They have made 5 3-pointers in the game, and here's Mitchell just inside the 3-point circle, and all of a sudden they're opening it up. It's an 11-point lead.
And Tack Minor is carving out some playing time for himself in the future. He's done a nice job here, a couple of out-of-control plays in the first half, but does a great job moving the basketball, making the extra pass, not trying to force things.
Turnover on Oregon State. You just wonder where Jay John is going to go to get his offense.
And there's the ball movement I was talking about, inside, outside to Lazar. You get the zone, have to at least challenge the outside shooting of Garrett Temple. And there's Tack Minor with the quick swing to Tasman Mitchell for the open 15-foot shot. Inside, outside, side to side, get that zone moving. You're going to find some open looks.
Davis spins to his right, fades. Nope. Boy, LSU's pounding the glass now. We told you, plus 10 rebounding this year. And they're beginning to control the boards against
the interior defense has been solid for Oregon State, but it's the rebounding, and the defensive possession does not end until you secure the defensive rebound.
Davis looked like he charged with a goal blocking foul instead on Chewich, his second personal foul.
A lot of contact inside. Sasha Chewich trying to cut off the baseline. The question is he did not have position inside, and actually gets his legs tangled with the feet of Glenn Davis. Now, you don't have to be set, but you do have to have good defensive position, which usually means that your guy's kind of barreling right into your chest as he tries to penetrate. That wasn't the case.
Redshirt freshman Alex Barr out of Phoenix St. Mary's will come into the game and replace Tasman Mitchell. Barr immediately shoots, and it spins out no good. Well, Alex brought in to shoot the basketball. A fine shooter at St. Mary's High School in Phoenix.
That's the same school, I believe, that produced Channing Frye. Over at Arizona, and out of the New York Knicks.
Tarver knocked away beautifully by Magnum Roll. The long arm of the law.
That's nice.
Davis. 17-9 game for Big Baby.
Now, he reminds me of a bigger version, not quite as athletic, of a Charles Barkley. Just that size and ball handling ability, passing ability. I mean, to be able to come down, push it, and then gather and pull without being out of control at 6'9", 295 pounds. Not a good shot.
I think what a lot of people like is the fact that he committed himself in the offseason. And he's made himself a better and lighter player, and he's one of the dynamic players in America. Glenn Davis from Baton Rouge University High School having a big night. 17 points, 9 rebounds, and a 41-28 lead. Oregon State trailing LSU by 13 points, but who's the surprise team in the Pac-10 Conference? How about David Hammerling and Washington State? He was the Pac-10 Player of the Week, brought to you by U.S. Bank, a career-high 20 in an amazing win against Gonzaga, one of the top teams in the nation. And how about the Cougars? They're 10-1 this year. 10-1.
In our Pac-10 preview show, I was telling the people in Pullman to be patient. It's going to take some time. Well, I was wrong. Tony Bennett's come up there, and the one thing he's done, Steve, they're still playing great defense. #1 in the Pac-10 in scoring defense, but he's allowing his guys a lot more freedom offensively. They're the top three-point shooting team in the Pac-10 at 42%, and who would have thunk it based on what they did in the last couple of years when they had a hard time scoring baskets.
The pride of Florence, Oregon, Ben Voog back in the game. Played at Sias-Lujas High School, averaging 26 points per game as a junior. Fine point guard in a pass-first mentality.
Grew up actually born in Oakland, moved to Florence when he was about 5-6 years old, but grew up a big Cal fan, and so he's a Jason Kidd guy. And Jason Kidd, one of the best table setters in all of basketball.
Voog from the corner. And that's his pop. Hey, that's my boy.
Yeah. Right in front of the LSU bench where his dad is sitting behind. So you get a chance to see that form.
Well, the story goes John Brady and Butch Pierre were at a tournament in Las Vegas, and they came away watching this Ben Voog kid from a little town in Oregon saying, hey, he's the toughest kid on the floor. And they pat him down. He had a long trip back, but he called coach immediately and said, hey, I want to be a Tiger.
And the success that they had last year, LSU has really broadened their recruiting base.
Bad pass by Voog, though. McGillis feeding it to Josh Tarver, and Voog almost stole it back. McGillis for 3.
That's what he can do. Jack McGillis has always been a terrific shooter, but where he's improved his game from this year compared to last year is his ability to shoot it on the move, off the dribble.
Magnum Roll back in the game. Temple, and that's a travel. So Garrett Temple will turn it over. That's been a problem for LSU early this year, and certainly in this game. That's their 13th turnover, and that has helped keep Oregon State in the game. Now, it was a 5-point game at the break. It is now a 13-point lead, but John Brady knows he has to clean things up before the new year because, remember, they have to play Connecticut after the end of the 2006.
Finally.
2007, and Jewish going deep here. And then they open against Alabama, who's one of the top teams in that SEC West.
This road trip will help them prepare for the SEC. Oregon State, then going up to Seattle to play Washington before Oregon State finally some pick and pop basketball. Been waiting for that all game long, involving Sasha Chewich and Glenn Big Baby Davis. And here's that pick and pop, sets the pick. Now he's going to pop to the right elbow, three-point line and knock it down. And that shot will be there for Sasha. Then here, little play we used to call snap back when I was with the Milwaukee Bucks, where the big guy was bobbling there for us, but would head in one direction. Snap back, changes direction, catch the defense off guard, and establish great strong side post-up position.
Davis snapping it up and in.
Snap right by Calvin Hampton, who is strong at 250, but nowhere near as strong as Glenn Davis at 295. But there Glenn Davis showed where the weight loss has helped his quickness.
Well, he has 33 career double-doubles. His next rebound will be his 10th and give him another double-double. He's got 9 boards. He with 19 points. A steal by Boog. Ahead quickly to Temple. And here goes Garrett.
Yeah, Boog, nice job. He saved the basket because Zach McGillis saw a wide open Calvin Hampton underneath the bucket. And just the aggressiveness of Ben Boog led to the easy dunk and saving 2 points under the basket for Oregon State.
A technical foul on the Oregon bench. Jay John was beside himself. His team not playing well over the last 5-minute stretch.
They wanted a foul called on Boog on that play, on the pass by Jack McGillis. But, you know, this is kind of SEC mentality. We talked about it in the open. Pontiac Keys, a rugby scrum, making a physical game. Hadn't been all that physical.
Well, this is the 5th meeting between LSU and Oregon State. LSU leads the series 3-1. Their last was in 2000, a game we did at the Sugar Bowl Classic, and LSU won that one 78-68. But the last time LSU, here's a look at that steal again by Boog. Yeah, I didn't see a foul.
Yeah, it looked like just a solid defensive play. Maybe one of the traveling call against Ben Boog, but again, just the aggressiveness of Ben Boog leads not only to a dunk for Garrett Temple, but stops an easy 2 points for Oregon State.
Josh Tarver for 3. And Oregon State staying in it, down 13. But we were talking about LSU and Oregon State, the series history. They had one game back in 1969. It was LSU's first win ever over Oregon State. And that's when Pete Maravich scored 46 points, including 30 of 31 from the free throw line. Still a Tiger record.
Yeah, he can do that.
Temple misses the 3. Jeffers rebounding.
I get the feeling for Oregon State that the most success they're going to have offensively is going to be long-range jump shots to get themselves back into this game.
Chewich. Right hand, no.
Well, that inside stuff is just not happening. Sasha Chewich looks a lot more comfortable casted from 20 as opposed to doing his thing in the post.
Jay John needs a lot of offense in a hurry. Glenn Davis is a fan favorite in Baton Rouge, not only because of his ability on the floor, but also his personality off.
Yeah, and terrific personality, but now he's lost the weight, so it gives him an opportunity to expand his game, and you're seeing some of that with some of the footwork back to the basket jump shot. Here, the extended range on the face-up catch. And here's Twinkle Toes with the soft feet, soft hands. That reminds me of the old Nutcracker Sweet cartoons with the hippopotamus in the belly. Oh,
yeah,
you remember?
absolutely. But you know what? That hippopotamus is eating healthier now.
He's got himself down. He's svelte. He's a svelte 295 pounds.
You just couldn't avoid that cartoon cliche.
It just popped in my head.
Josh Tarver misses the 3, but he'll be at the free throw line for 3 shots because he was found in the act of shooting by Ben Boog.
Yeah, you got to keep jacking them up because there's nothing going on inside for the Oregon State Beavers. You would think or hope that Sasha Chewich would be able to manufacture some shots going to the basket, but just didn't seem to have the stomach for it in this game, at least.
And Oregon State's offense just really sour. I mean, 41% from the floor, 29% from three-point range coming into this game. Dead last in the Pac-10 conference and scoring at 65 points per game. And you have to bring some offensive players in here. Pac-10. Right now, the top conference in college basketball, they have 4 teams in the Associated Press rankings.
And you talk about bringing players in, you think about the outstanding freshmen in the Pac-10. Ryan Anderson for Cal is a big surprise. The Lopez twins for Stanford. You mentioned Chase Budinger, who we'll see Wednesday night. Pondexter and Hawes up in Washington. Porter at Oregon. Juwan Porter averaging almost 20 points a game for the Oregon Ducks.
Almost a steal by Jeffers.
LSU showing a lot of patience. Glenn Davis gets a chance to rest for a few times in this ball game.
Hoop is wide open inside, but Tarver fighting through the screen, got there a little late, and now they've turned the ball over to the 6-second mark of the 35-second clock. So Tack Minor will come back in, so will Glenn Davis. Sometimes a team has a difficult time running a clock, but how about Angelo Sakarakis not playing?
Yeah, one of the long-range shooters for Oregon State, but it's a lot easier to run the shot clock with Glenn Davis on the floor with the ball in his hands with 5 seconds left at the free throw line, kind of clear it out.
Yeah, that's good defense by Temple. Church missing the three. He's now 3 for 14 from the floor. It's one of those, if you're open, shoot. If you're not, force it. Well, a chance to turn that shot down occasionally rather than fade from 18 to 22.
Yeah, but as poorly as he's looked making post-up moves, I'd almost settle for that inside. But here's Garrett Temple, one of the premier defenders in the United States last year. Locked up J.J. Redick, locked up A.C. Law, locked up Chris Lofton of Tennessee. Rashad Anderson of UConn was 3 for 16 against him.
Third foul, though, on Garrett Temple. Defensive whiz.
Temple's an interesting story. We talked about his dad, Collis Jr., being the first African-American player at LSU. But at times during the recruiting process, he thought that might be too much pressure. He came to visit Oregon. He visited Stanford. Then decided that was the place for him kind of at the last moment. But he really gave it some long thought and consideration.
And that is the 34th double-double for Glenn Davis. 19 points, 10 rebounds. Like Marshall Jones. Meantime, Oregon State comes down and McGillis fills it up from outside and makes it an 8-point game. Timeout LSU. McGillis from Montana bringing back the Beavers. Oregon State coming back on number 12 LSU. College football's greatest bowl games come to Fox, beginning with the AT&T Cotton Bowl Classic, followed by the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, the FedEx Orange Bowl, the All-State Sugar Bowl, and concluding with the Tostitos BCS National Championship game between Florida and Ohio State. The BCS Bowl Bash comes to Fox beginning on New Year's Day. Well, Marcel Jones injuring that left leg. The trainer is taking a look at him. And Jones will remain on the sideline as they have to continue to come back without their leading scorer. Jones averaging 17 per game, so it'll be Jeffers, Washington, Tarver, McGillis, and Chewich on the floor for Oregon State. Full court pressure.
One of the few times that we've seen this from Oregon State in this game. Maybe they can get Tack Minor to get a little out of control, trying to force things and do things that John Grady does not want him to do. But this is the guy you got to pay attention to. And if I were Oregon State, I'd double him. And now let's see if you can make some jumpers if you're LSU with the game tightening up a little bit.
When Davis caught the ball, I'm not sure if you saw McGillis, he was on me. He was asking for help. Somebody finally, Chewich came over to double. After all that strong defense, Tasman Mitchell well covered, hits from the baseline. He now has 9. How about Oregon State in the second half shooting threes, but they've just been miserable inside against that tough LSU defense.
I talked about a few minutes ago. I mean, they're better off taking the first good, long, early look because they just are not being aggressive at all inside the three-point line.
Jeffers, left hand, no. Wesley Washington rebounds, and it's knocked away, and Davis grabs his 11th board.
Yeah, you saw two examples of that on that possession. Jeffers, a weak left-handed shot that had no chance, and then Washington going up against the bigs inside trying to get things done. It's just not going to happen.
Davis out top, covered by Chewich. Davis sets the screen. Temple had an open look, but turns it down to work it inside and turns it over. And a personal foul will go against Magnum Roll, the private investigator who fell to the floor.
Yeah, Magnum Roll picks up that foul, but Jack McGillis has done a nice job in this game. I mean, he has been extremely active defensively. He's smart. He called out for help when he was isolated down low with Big Baby down in the low post. And he can hit the long jump shot. He's a really good long-range shooter who has developed his ability to shoot off the dribble, shoot on the move.
Hey, good passing interior to Kyle Jeffers, who hooks it up and in. And again, it's the Beavers trailing the number 12 team in the nation by 8.
And a couple of good defensive stops. That time Jeffers used his size and strength at 250 pounds against the 205-pound 6'10 Magnum Roll.
Down low to Roll. They double every time that ball gets to the post. Oh, that's a goaltend call.
And we talked about Wesley Washington finishing off those shots inside. Same is true for Garrett Temple in that possession.
This may have fallen anyway, but there was Magnum Roll, and he should have stayed away from the iron. LSU with an 8-point lead on Oregon State. In 2 weeks, ACC Sunday Night Hoops returns with a doubleheader beginning with San Jose State battling number 6 Duke. And then Dayton comes calling, taking on number 3 North Carolina. Coverage begins December 31st with the college basketball tip-off show at 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific, right here on FSN. And December 31st, we'll also have Washington at UCLA. That's going to be a heck of a Pac-10 show. We've got great basketball, college basketball on FSN this year. Jones comes back in the game after injuring his left leg. He'll be awfully important the last 3:45.
Let's see if Oregon State goes back to Kyle Jeffers inside against Magnum Roll. And that's the only interior success offensively they've had in this game.
Chewich. He hits.
Keep Sasha on the outside.
It was just a suggestion.
Yeah. But, you know, as I mentioned, Jeffers is the only guy scoring inside. But to get back in this game, to win this game, I've said before that they're going to have to knock down the long jump shot, the three-point shot for Oregon State.
Well, they are 7 of 10 in the second half from three-point range.
I mean, you call out that stat, something like 2 for 10 from the three-point, from inside the three-point line.
Temple to
Good
Roll.
defense.
Shot clock at 5. Miner puts it up. No, Davis with another rebound. He is so tough inside. 19 points, 12 rebounds for Big Baby, the All-American.
We call him the big bailout because he bailed his team out on that possession. But here's Sasha, little pick, little pop. One of our keys behind the three-point line knocks that down as Glenn Davis has a long run defensively. And then here's the shot you want from Tack Miner. And, you know, it's easy to say, well, block him out. Well, he's 295 pounds. He's extremely active on the inside going after the ball. And he's got good, strong hands to secure the basketball.
He got LSU to that Final Four last year, their first Final Four in 20 years. On the way, they beat the number 1 team in the nation, Duke, before losing to the UCLA Bruins. And now, Michael Reed getting it from Kyle Jeffers.
Well, Kyle Jeffers wanted that timeout before he fell out of bounds. Now, you cannot call it in the air. If you've broken the plane, you're up in the air, you can't call timeout. I love that rule.
They say it's a timeout, and John Brady is hot.
I think he was down on the ground. He was inbounds. so he should be allowed to call the timeout. So good job by the officials.
Michael Reed is the official, an excellent Pac-10 official.
Here he is. He's on the ground calling the timeout. You just can't call it if you don't have your foot on the ground. That flying out of bounds timeout.
But I always like it when an official, Michael Reed's a very good official, he went and checked with his teammates, Bobby McCroy and Michael Littlewood, to make sure, and they said, hey, you were right, Michael. Timeout, Oregon State. And they're within 6 points. They were down by 15 points just 10 minutes ago.
3 ball, got them back into it.
There's the game reset. LSU has 4 timeouts left. And you see the foul story. Next LSU time that Oregon State fouls them, they'll be going to the free throw line for 1 plus the penalty. 34th career double-double. This guy has been amazing in a 20 and 12 game, playing a lot. Oregon State now, and then Washington on Wednesday. There it is, 7 of 10 from the floor in the second half, bringing them back in this game from 3-point range. That's a goaltend by Roll. The basket with the foul, and the Beavers are right back in this game.
We talked about Magnon Roll playing organized basketball for 3 years before he got to LSU, and that's an example of that. When the athleticism becomes a curse rather than a blessing, the big man going to go up underneath using the basket as a halo to try and block a shot. An obvious goaltend call.
Josh Tarver will now try and finish the 3-point play, and he does. And the Beavers are within 3 of LSU. Could we be seeing an upset in the Pacific Northwest?
Yeah, forget about moral victories. Oregon State wants this thing. They can feel it. Their fans can taste it. LSU, you know where they're going. Right here to Glenn Big Baby Davis.
Misses. Jeffers rebounding. A 3 can tie.
It wasn't so much the great defense on the part of Oregon State. Big Baby just missed a shot that he normally makes inside. Here's some more pick and pop basketball.
Tarver missing, chasing it down. Marcel Jones. Jeffers with the left hand is fouled by Roll. He'll be at the free throw line for 2 shots.
And that's that matchup that was successful for Oregon State a couple of possessions ago. Going inside. Kyle Jeffers at 250 going against the 205-pound Magnum Roll. And does a nice job using the left hand, shielding the basketball with his body.
Well, Kyle Jeffers, who is the captain of Operation Santa, he wants to give Jay John an early Christmas present, as Jeffers will be at the free throw line to shoot 2 shots. Now, he's only a 59% free throw artist.
But it's Operation Santa time.
Yeah.
It's Christmas time. He's done all this good work, so you know, oops, he's going to miss it.
Hey, you set him up very well.
I was all ready.
Are they going to go to Soccerakis? He's the designated shooter. Well, they haven't played him for 38.
You got to kind of roll with the guys that have gotten you this close so far. As Jeffers at 59% misses both of those, which could have cut this lead down to 1, which puts a lot of pressure.
John Brady calls timeout. John Brady, he was hoping to have Terry Martin, an outstanding outside shooter out of Monroe, Louisiana, but he's waiting for the teachers to post the grades. He could be available for the Washington game, and John said he is a young man who has the ability to be in that starting rotation.
Yeah, and gives them just one more offensive threat. But again, this is what has gotten the Beavers back in this game. That was nice pick and pop basketball. Stops at Chewich here. Josh Tarver going to take advantage of Garrett Temple going underneath the high screen. And a lot of this stuff just kind of off of high screens. Again, little pick and pop. Stops at Chewich. Going to find the open area for Glenn Davis to make that long run defensively. Stop penetration, then make the long run back to contest the long jump shot. Is not an easy thing, especially when you lost 50, but you're still 295 pounds.
Chewich just 4 of 15 from the floor, but a couple of big threes here in the second half, and holding down the number 12 team in the nation to only 53 points. They came in averaging 77.
Whatever I'm going to do if I'm John Brady on this possession, it's going to involve Tasman Mitchell and Glenn Davis kind of working on the same side of the floor.
Tack Minor for 3. He hits.
Wow. Tack. That's a clutch shot by Tack. He's a very offensive-minded player, and that time it came in handy for John Brady and LSU.
Tarver missing a big basket. They missed 2 free throws. Now, a nice floater from about 10 feet away bails.
And, you know, it's a very makeable shot for Tarver. Josh Tarver on that play. Did a good job on the step back. Just shot it short.
Big defensive stop for Oregon State.
Content LSU is to run this clock down to about 10 before making a move going to the basket.
Tasman Mitchell with 7 on the shot clock, short. It's Jeffers.
Give me that.
Davis, and Davis pulls it down.
Give me that.
Muscles it up and in. Oh, baby.
I tell you, that's the big baby bailout move there. You're forced to take a rush shot if you're Tasman Mitchell, but you've got the big fella inside just battling, active, and then watch him just snatch it away from Cal Jeffers. And then just a good job to maneuver into a position to get the and one off of contact.
We saw Glenn Davis at dinner last night, shook his hand. I mean, his hand just wraps around yours. And you're a big man.
Yeah. Again, we keep harping on it. Drop, close to 50, still 295.
Yep.
At 6'9", close to 6'9". So, I mean, it's just a load inside, and it's a terrific bailout guy to have.
Well, one Pac-10 team, Marcus, has come back from this deficit this year at this point in the game. Oregon was down 8 points against Rice, at Rice, with 56 seconds left, and they came back and won. So it's doable. It's been done this year, but you've got to make your free throws. And Jeffers missed 2, and now Shuich misses the front end of a 1-and-1, and it's beginning to evaporate.
You put yourself in a position where you got to foul. You got to go ahead and stop the clock.
Well, they spent some time going for the steal, and about 15 seconds went off the clock. Big baby Davis with a 22-point, 13-rebound night, trying to nail down LSU's 6th win of the year.
John Brady calls this guy Tasman Mitchell the glue for the LSU Tigers, coming in averaging about 15 points a game, just a sophomore out of Denham Springs, Louisiana. Not Louisiana, but Louisiana.
That's where you were born. You should know.
Louisiana. But now you can't waste time coming down, getting a shot up. The clock is your enemy here for Oregon State down 10.
McGillis.
Nice.
Well, there's another 3 in the second half by Oregon State. It is a 7-point LSU lead with 31.5 seconds left. But boy, they missed some opportunities, particularly 3 critical free throws. Could have been 4 because one was the front of a bonus.
And here's Jack McGillis out of Hellgate High School in Missoula, Montana, doing a nice job coming off the dribble handoff. But you know, and not only the free throws missed and the shot by Tarver, but remember the Wesley Washington ducks inside, those easy buckets at the start of the game. I mean, we talked about it then. You know, they're going to come back and not so much haunt you, but I mean, you know, you could use those 3 easy misses.
Well, one thing we do know, they are going to need this kind of defensive intensity when it comes to the Pac-10 season because offensively, they're a little limited.
Yeah, they are extremely limited on offense, but they showed some scrappiness out here today that I'm sure Jay John really appreciates as their coach. You know, Sasa Chuich has got to get his head completely on straight and within the team goals of what they want to do. He had a 2-game suspension earlier this season.
And he is a young man with a lot of talent, and you're playing in a conference that right now is ranked #1 in college basketball. You've got 2 teams that are unbeaten in UCLA and Oregon, and you've got 3 who only have 1 loss, including Washington State, who's 10-1. You've got Washington at 8-1, getting ready to host LSU on Wednesday, and Arizona's 7-1. We'll have a chance to see both of those schools this Wednesday in that doubleheader, as it's Memphis at Arizona, followed by LSU at Washington in an FSN doubleheader Wednesday.
And I did Herb Sendek's Arizona State team against Iowa. They're not going to be an easy pushover W playing these guys either.
No. And there's a foul on Marcel Jones. Well, they came back on their great 3-point shooting in the second half, 8 of 12 from the floor. Marcel Jones picking up his 3rd personal foul. He has a 12-point night.
His 3rd, 18, Sasha Chuich in for Michael Johnson.
Chewich will come back in for Michael Johnson, who's just out there for foul purposes because Chewich has 3 personals. And going to the free throw line, Garrett Temple with a 17-point night. His career high is 18 against Tulane, so he could tie that right here. He does not. They need to hustle up the floor. Jones a little long in the shot, rebounding LSU, and this should put it away right here as Tasman Mitchell is bumped by Tarver and goes out of bounds. It'll still be LSU basketball, but that was a mugging down along the baseline.
The rugby scrum we talked about happens in the last 13 seconds. The officials kind of swallowed the whistle on the play, but a lot of contact on the part of Josh Tarver.
And now they'll run the clock out, and LSU will have their 6th win of the year. The number 12 team in the nation protects their ranking as they win on the road in Corvallis, Oregon. John Brady with a handshake from Jay John. We'll come back and talk about this game as LSU beats Oregon State by 7. LSU runs a record of 6-2 on the year with a 60-53 win over Oregon State. Marcus Johnson's on the floor with the star of the game.
All right, Steve, I'm here with Glenn Davis. And first of all, Glenn, everybody's trying to tell me you're like 6'7". I'm 6'7", and you're a good 1.5, 2 inches taller than me. So I got to believe you're legit 6'9". But talk about the weight loss and the improved conditioning. I think it showed down the stretch in this game.
Yeah, just trying to, become a complete player, man. Just trying to lose weight. Just trying to help my team. Man, I got to do a little bit more this year. And so I just want to be physically fit, in order to go down the stretch and execute and do some big things for my team.
Talk about this game this afternoon. Oregon State, they got down by 14, 16 points. They didn't quit. Give you guys a tougher game than you thought coming up here?
Yeah, I think that was one of our problems. We underestimated the power of this team. That's one thing you can't do. And we did that, but we showed some adversity, showed some character, and came back, fought back, and got the game won.
Now, continuing your northwest trek here, you head up to Seattle, you play the University of Washington, another solid nationally ranked basketball team. Talk about that game and what you expect to come out of there.
I expect a tough game. I expect a team that's going to be ready to play. I just, expect the best out of them. We're going to get everybody's, best shot, like we did today. And hopefully we can go in there, do the same thing we did today and get the job done.
Compared to Pac-10 to the SEC, everybody says we're soft. Are we that soft out here?
Nah. Yeah, y'all do it big out here, man. Y'all play real hard.
Thanks a lot, man. Great job today. All right, Glenn, Big Baby Davis, Steve, back to you.
Marcus, Oregon State defense held them down, just 40% shooting for LSU. Meantime, Oregon State really struggled from the floor, just 33% from the floor, and they lose the ball game 60-53. Oregon State falls to 6-5 while LSU goes to 6-2. Well, that's it from Corvallis, where the final score is LSU 60, Oregon State 53. Make sure to tune in Wednesday for a doubleheader, Memphis against Arizona and LSU against Washington. Coverage begins at 8:30, 5:30 Pacific. For Marcus Johnson, I'm Steve Pizziak saying so long, everyone. Thanks for watching Pac-10 Hoops on FSN.